The morning air was crisp, carrying a solemn weight as the military procession formed outside the grand hall. Soldiers in polished uniforms stood rigidly at attention, their boots gleaming under the pale sunlight. Inside, a quiet murmur of grief moved through the crowd, relatives and high-ranking officers whispering condolences to one another. The flags draped over the coffins of fallen soldiers flapped gently, each one a reminder of a life devoted to duty. In the midst of the somber gathering, an old man approached the entrance. His back was bent, his steps slow and deliberate, but his eyes carried the intensity of someone who had walked the path of service himself decades ago. His uniform was faded, metals dulled by age, yet there was a quiet dignity in the way he held himself. As he neared the gates, a young guard stepped forward, blocking his path. "Sir, this area is restricted to family and active personnel only," the guard said firmly, his voice betraying no emotion. The old man's hands shook slightly as he tried to speak, his voice cracking. I knew him. I served with him once. I must pay my respects." The guard shook his head. "I'm sorry, sir. Orders are strict. No exceptions." The old man's eyes flickered with a mix of disbelief and sorrow. He looked past the young guard, at the grand formation of soldiers and officers, at the flags that symbolized a life of honor. He remembered the general vividly, the firm handshake, the unwavering guidance, the quiet moments of counsel he had received when he was a young lieutenant. "I cannot leave without saying goodbye," he whispered. The guard, unyielding, waved him away, signaling for other officers to take notice. The old man hesitated, searching for a solution, but there was none. He could feel the weight of the moment slipping away from him, the chance to honor a comrade vanishing with every step. He turned, leaning heavily on his cane, his eyes filled with unshed tears. Behind him, the sound of boots echoed, and the strict, orderly world of the military seemed impermeable, almost cold. The procession moved forward, voices raised in quiet hymns, a final salute to the man who had given his life to duty and country. Suddenly, a voice cut through the tension, calm yet commanding. "Stop." Heads turned instinctively toward the source. A four-star general, tall and imposing, walked swiftly toward the entrance, his eyes scanning the scene. The old man froze, hope flickering in his chest. The general stopped near the gate and surveyed the young guards, his presence alone enough to make them straighten, a mixture of respect and fear in their posture. "Let him through," the general said, his voice steady and unarguable. The guards exchanged uneasy glances, then reluctantly stepped aside. The old man's hand tightened on his cane as he was allowed passage. Tears welled in his eyes, not from weakness, but from the sudden relief and the deep, unspoken understanding that he had been seen, recognized, and honored. He walked slowly toward the coffin, each step heavy but purposeful. Soldiers saluted as he passed, their eyes acknowledging not just the general's service, but his own. The old man approached the flag-draped coffin, knelt carefully, and whispered words of farewell. Memories of battles fought, victories won, and sacrifices shared flooded his mind. In that moment, the gap between generations of soldiers seemed to vanish. Here, under the cold morning sky, respect and recognition transcended rules, hierarchies, and the rigidity of protocol. It was a moment of pure humanity, witnessed by those who understood the weight of service and the meaning of honor. The old man stood silently by the coffin, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The air was filled with the faint scent of polished wood and fresh flowers, and the soft murmurs of the attendees seemed distant, almost as if they were happening in another world. His hands trembled slightly as he reached out to touch the folded flag, a symbol of the life and sacrifice he had known so well. Memories of younger days flooded back, the shared drills, the long nights of planning missions, the quiet encouragements in the barracks, every detail of their time together etched into his mind with painful clarity. Nearby, a young officer observed him cautiously. "Sir," the officer whispered, "you shouldn't be here. It's not protocol," but the old man barely heard him. He was lost in memories, in the sense of duty and loyalty that had defined his life and the life of the man lying in front of him. The general, who had opened the gate, now stood a few steps back, watching quietly. There was no judgment in his gaze, only understanding. He knew the value of honor, the depth of respect that could not always be measured in rank or age. The old man's presence was a testament to that, an embodiment of loyalty that no rule could suppress. A hush fell over the crowd as the ceremony began, the sound of a military band playing somber notes that resonated in every heart. Soldiers straightened, family members dabbed at their eyes, and the old man felt a lump in his throat. The officer, finally realizing the depth of the situation, stepped back, giving him space. For a few moments, the old man was alone with his memories, with the friendship and camaraderie that had defined his youth. He could feel the weight of unspoken words, the moments of guidance and shared hardship that had never been acknowledged aloud. As the ceremony progressed, he noticed the youngest soldiers around him casting curious glances, some whispering questions about who he was. The old man's eyes met theirs, and he offered a faint, weary smile. Respect and loyalty aren't about age or medals, he thought. They are about the bonds we form, the lives we touch, and the courage to stand for what we believe in. The band's music swelled, and a single trumpet played, taps, the notes drifting into the sky like a solemn farewell. His eyes welled with tears as he imagined the countless stories of service, bravery, and sacrifice that had led to this very moment. The general stepped closer, his presence quiet but commanding. He spoke softly, yet the words carried weight. "He fought for all of us," he said, nodding toward the coffin. "And so did you. That is why you are here." The old man nodded, tears spilling freely now, a mix of sorrow, relief, and gratitude. Around them, the ceremony continued, but something had shifted. The rigidity of protocol had softened, replaced by the recognition that some things, honor, loyalty, and respect, transcend rank, rules, and ceremony. The old man straightened slightly, feeling a renewed sense of peace. He had come to say goodbye, but he also realized he had witnessed something extraordinary, a reminder that even in the strictest of institutions, humanity could prevail, and the courage to do what is right could overcome even the most rigid barriers. The ceremony was reaching its peak, the sound of boots marching in perfect cadence echoing across the grounds. The old man remained near the coffin, feeling the weight of the moment pressing down on his shoulders, yet he stood taller now, buoyed by the recognition he had been granted. The crowd's attention shifted as the general signaled for a moment of silence. Every face turned toward the front, every eye reflecting respect, grief, and admiration. The old man's gaze met the coffin once more, and he felt a profound connection, not just to the man who had passed, but to the entire legacy of courage, sacrifice, and unwavering duty that had defined their lives. A young soldier approached him, hesitating before speaking. "Sir, I didn't know him, but I know now why you're here." "Thank you for being here." The old man nodded, a faint smile breaking through his weathered features. He realized that this moment, this act of presence and remembrance, was teaching the next generation something far greater than medals or orders. It was teaching them about honor, loyalty, and the human heart behind every uniform. He placed a hand gently on the coffin, whispering words only he could hear. "You fought bravely, and you are remembered." The general stepped forward once more, his sharp eyes softened by the weight of the day. He placed a hand on the old man's shoulder and said, "Not everyone has the courage to do what you just did. You honored him, and in doing so, you honored all of us." The old man looked up, tears shining in his eyes, but a sense of peace radiated from him. All the years of waiting, all the moments of feeling unseen, had led to this. He had been acknowledged, not only as a comrade but as a man whose respect for service transcended time. The final notes of the ceremonial music played, and the crowd began to disperse slowly, some lingering to nod or shake hands with the old man, a quiet acknowledgement passing between strangers who shared a common reverence. As he turned to leave, he caught a glimpse of the general standing tall, watching over the grounds, a silent sentinel ensuring that the respect for the fallen continued beyond the ceremony. The old man raised his hand in a quiet salute, a gesture met with solemn acknowledgement from the soldiers nearby. As he walked away, the sun breaking through the clouds cast a golden light across the memorial, illuminating the path he had taken and the legacy he was leaving behind. It was more than just a farewell, it was a testament to courage, to friendship, and to the enduring power of respect. And in that moment, he understood that honor was not something granted by rank or status, but something recognized in the heart, in the courage to stand up for what is right, and in the willingness to pay tribute to those who shaped the lives of others. If you were moved by this story of courage, respect, and humanity, make sure to subscribe to our channel, Her Stories Words, so you never miss an inspiring story like this one.